In this section of the documentation, we're going to prepare the basic structure of our database. Why this is important right now? Because if you start automating processes without knowing exactly how do you want to tag your users, what kind of data you have about them, and so on, then either your automations will have less value because they will be less personalized based on the data, or you'll make a lot of mess and you won't be able to connect one automation with another because you will lose track of which tag means what. Now let's list out all the custom user attributes that you're going to use. For each attribute, we're going to provide the data type, the source of this data, and the general role of this user attribute inside your operations. For example, the sales team might need to know what kind of the position the customer has inside his company. The marketing team might need UTM tags such as UTM campaign, UTM term, UTM medium, UTM source, or engagement levels, which will indicate how engaged the user is on the website. Support department might create custom attributes such as support tier, which will indicate the quality of support the user should receive. At this point, you don't have to do it perfectly. The idea is that before you start making a final list of those custom user attributes, each team should prepare a whole list of everything that comes to their mind so that later you can reduce them to the most important ones. And this is very important to really fill out all the fields here because, those kind of attributes are obvious when you create them. But after a month, after half a year, or 2 years later, nobody remembers what was the role of this attribute. Now it's time for custom company attributes. As before, each team writes down all the custom attributes that come to their mind, along with descriptions and information on where it should be collected. As before, you just write everything that comes to your mind, and during the next meeting, you'll pick the ones that are most suitable for your business. The same applies to custom deal attributes. However, of course, the sales team will mainly include those custom attributes because mainly they're the ones who use deals. Now we can move on to describing all the events and event attributes that you might use. As I said before, in my opinion, in the first phase of the implementation, it's not necessary to create complex events, or in some cases, you don't even have to create a single event before the first automation is launched. However, if in your case this is necessary, each team can just write down all the events that they think should be implemented, and as I said before, during the meeting, you will discuss which events should stay and which events are not that important. For each event, you should include information on when is it generated and how is it generated, and all its attributes and what kind of data should be included in those attributes. A good practice is to describe this event so well that if you send this to a developer, he instantly knows how to implement it and what kind of information should be included. Another important data type are lists. In this page, you just fill out all the lists that come to your mind. So you should probably create a separate list for each newsletter that you have. This is the most typical way you use it. You can create lists for things about your customers that will not change. So for example, the fact that someone is an app owner because he created at least one app will not change. So we can add that person to a list of app owners. As always, you should provide a full description of each list. Otherwise, it will be misused and you will not be able to create the right automations using those lists. Now it's time for tags. As usual, just list out all the tags. We will discuss them later and provide a full description of how they work.